Welcome back to San Diego. I'm at the Golf Industry Show here. It's 2019. It's sunny outside, which it did not start out the week sunny. I'm on the GCSAA TV live stage here, brought to you by Lebanon Turf. And one of my favorite segments that we've done the last couple of years, finally got a guest I can really chat with, is the Turf Bowl competition, sponsored for over a decade now, maybe by John Deere, the John Deere Company. And we have our winners from last year. Auburn University, represented by Professor Dave Hahn. Ren Wilkes is here with us from John Deere. Why did John Deere get involved with the Turf Bowl? And boy, you haven't really let go of it.
No, the education of students, the education of young people is really important to John Deere in golf and in every aspect of John Deere. But this is a fantastic event to see. This year there are more students than there ever been. And to see them come in excited about this, it's really fulfilling for John Deere to see the excitement of the youth of in the golf industry.
And I got to imagine, listen, as a company, all of these people you are having as a Turf Bowl are eventually going to be making decisions on the equipment that they use, and it's nice to know that maybe some of the equipment that they use leads to the support of these kinds of events, because it provides a really interesting learning opportunity, right?
Yeah, and it's, you know, equipment is fantastic to move, but it really is about educating, making sure that the industry as a whole is populated with fantastic people coming up. We want golf and turf to be a leading industry within that space, and these kids today, they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow. So,
you know, there's probably lots of ways to help students. People give scholarships, right? There's all kinds of companies. Toro gives a Watson scholarship. So there's lots of ways to help students. Was there something about the competition? Because I think it might have been going on before you sponsored it, right?
Yeah.
Was there something about that you liked?
I think it's the excitement that they put into it and the work that they put into it. These guys start preparing, you know, 3, 4, 5 months ahead of time. So they're really focused on this. And it really is, I've used this term before, but it's their Super Bowl. Right. You know, they come in here and the bragging rights are amazing if you win.
That's right.
So it's really, to John Deere, it's exciting for us to see the excitement of these students.
So, since you've pivoted so well to the work that goes behind it, and that's what I would like to say, they're not just showing up. They took a turf class at some point and now they're showing up. In many cases, they're taking a semester-long class in preparation of this. Finally, Dave, you dethroned the Nittany Lions of Penn State, which we're all very happy about. You know, we're not going to talk about the other sport that maybe Auburn would like to be beating other teams in, but we'll keep it for the Turf Bowl for now.
Yeah.
Obviously, what did this mean to the young people that accomplished it, and how has it been for you guys enjoying being champions for a year?
It's been tremendous, and the guys who did it were together as a team, most of them for 3 years. Some of them actually started as a freshman.
So it is a bit like a collegiate sport, right?
It is almost. I mean, we had a student who the first time he came and did the Turf Bowl was his freshman year.
Yeah.
And you just build on that and build on it. And they finally got over the hump. They finished third place the year before last.
Okay.
And then came back and got the championship last year, and so it's been tremendous. And they've worked very, very hard. Huh. These guys, they'll take probably the rest of February off until spring break, so middle of March.
Right.
And then they'll come right back at it after spring break and start getting organized for next year, trying to figure out who's coming back next year, and then we may add a few guys in the fall when we get some new students in. And
so when they're training for this, what are the areas, for those that really don't pay much attention to the Turf Bowl, what are the areas that they're working on first, and then we'll talk about how those things translate, right?
It's pretty much everything. I mean, the competition is designed to test everything that a superintendent might have to deal with in the course of the job. So they're going to get tested on identifying grasses and weeds and insects and diseases, herbicides, fungicides,
right?
All sorts of different
calculations.
Pesticides. A lot of math is involved.
Right, case studies, problem solving.
Exactly right.
And there's some interactive components where they have to talk, or is it only written?
It's all written on this one.
Okay.
Yes, they got to write an essay on a case study.
Right.
And that part of it is put together and graded by superintendents. So
As we speak, it's underway
as
for
we
this
speak.
year.
Yes, actually, they probably have just about finished it.
Okay.
And so the big grading binge will start here in a minute.
How many teams? How many teams?
This year there were 63 teams.
So how many does Auburn send?
This year we have 3 teams.
So when you win, I imagine it's much like sports. Oh, I'd like to do that. So it gets
That's
you
right.
new recruits. One of the things that I'd like you to talk about for a second is we hear a lot of lamenting in the industry that we're not getting the turf students that we used to get, right? The volume of turf students is
That's true.
not what they used to be. And of course, that's a reflection of the whole shift that's occurred in the industry. And obviously, if there were jobs that everybody could be filling, there would be another flood of students sort of getting in there to a certain extent. This sounds like it's drawn a bit of a buzz to get students interested in this area, being in golf. Has it worked like that for you?
I think it has. We've seen an uptick in interest in turf in our program, but I think that the student numbers, they always lag behind the job situation. And I keep telling anyone who will listen, our students, they all get jobs when they graduate, and they get good jobs.
They get good jobs.
So there's plenty of future in turf and in the golf industry. Right now and for the foreseeable future.
And so this competition and learning these applicable skills sort of aids the education they get at Auburn and all the other. So you have 60 teams. How many schools, colleges, universities are involved? Do you know?
I don't know the number, the exact number of universities.
It's over 20.
20 schools.
Yeah.
Last year it was
sending
about
multiple teams.
35 last year.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're doing these skills. They're getting graded by superintendents. Then there's this, how much did you win by? Was it a blowout? Because, of course, I'd love to hear that McGraw got blown out. That'd be my favorite thing.
Well, you'll love this, too, because Penn State was actually 3rd last year.
Oh, that's so great. They're dragging him out of the gutter now.
Yeah, I don't know, but we won by 2 points last year. Purdue came in 2nd. And that's out of a test that's more than 650 points.
So let's talk about this.
A lot of times it's really, really close.
It takes how long to go through the turf bowl?
3 hours.
So it's 3 hours of questioning in the variety of different areas that they're training in anticipation. Over the years, they're making their way through. Have we heard any more how this resonates when they go? Because you've been teaching it a little bit now. The kids that ultimately graduate, do they look back? Have you talked to them about how they look back on this experience?
Oh, I sure have. And every single one of our kids, oh, they're not kids anymore. Every single one of our alumni who have participated in the turf bowl say this is one of the favorite things they did when they were in school. And it's one of the favorite things that I do as part of my job is to work with the students and get them ready for this and just help them to learn and then the whole experience.
Right.
Doing the turf bowl itself is kind of stressful, and I don't know if anyone would really call that part of it fun, but everything else being here at the show.
Well, and as an educator, right, teaching these young people about the profession, having an opportunity to get them internally motivated to do well on this test for some really important skills they need to be successful professionals, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's got to warm your heart that you're you don't have to motivate them. They seem like they're motivated to do it on their own.
Well,
what is your role?
That's right. They motivate themselves. Well, my role is to give them what they need to make it happen.
Right.
And so I will help with organization, and we will go over a lot of different subject matters. We'll review, and I will help with that. And then I think the best thing I can do is kind of get out of the way and let them, I'll be available if they have questions. And of course, I handle a lot of the administrative stuff like getting them here and things like that.
No small task, 3 teams.
Yes, but that's really one of the most exciting things is watching them organize themselves and seeing the leaders emerge on the teams.
That's right. And Ren was talking about this earlier, leaders. Right?
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that last year Auburn went down to TPC Sawgrass to work the Players Championship, so that's a bonus. So they go down, they work from
so it's
Sunday
not
to
just
Sunday.
bragging rights, there's other things involved.
The winning team gets to go to Sawgrass and work during the Players Championship, so they get actual championship experience on the golf course, which I think is invaluable. It's really an eye-opening experience.
How many folks on the team?
four on a team.
Four per team.
Yep.
And they sit there for 3 hours, right? And they work on everything as a team, or do they work individually and then combined as a team? Or are there, because, to me, one of the things that's important, and on any golf course, you got a superintendent, an assistant, equipment manager, and a well-functioning operation. There's a good dialogue among all those people, right? There's conversations going on. Are there conversations going on, or is it individual competition?
No, there's a lot of conversation going on, but you're right. Each member of the team will focus on a particular subject where they have their own individual strengths. So you may have somebody who's really good at math.
Right.
So you'll say, okay, here, do these calculations, do these calibrations, and maybe somebody else is going to handle.
So you disperse the work as a team.
Disperse the work as a team, but then have the team check each other and make sure that it all comes together.
And then you score it as a team.
And that's a huge piece of the teamwork. Is huge piece of our industry is learning how to build that team to be successful. If you have a shortfall, your neighbor might be fantastic in it. You can make a great
so
team.
Not only is, I would imagine now it's, I've never gotten involved in it. I have no idea sort of how it works. But now I'm thinking everybody's responsible for something, but they're also responsible for getting it done in a timely fashion so that other people can look at it.
Right.
You're not getting input if you take the entire 3 hours to just answer the one question. So that's a bit of responsibility. You don't want to let your team down, right, on this particular thing, because you have to produce something that they can give you feedback and say, that doesn't look right. Maybe we should go back and check that. And I imagine this gets to be an issue identifying weeds and plants. Because you look at enough, you get a bit of a green blur. And
that can happen.
I'm thinking some of the professors couldn't walk in there and identify some of those grasses so cleanly, right? So, at the end of the day, you must be starting to feel like after 10 years of funding this, right, you're starting to see the legacy of this event.
It's fantastic. We were talking about fundraising earlier and how do you get the teams here, and there's a lot of pride that goes into the Turf Bowl. If he won this year, go to his alumni and say, hey, we won. There's a lot of pride that goes into this. So you start to see, we've had alumni dinners before with the Turf Bowl people. So you really build a network through this. And it's something that everybody can relate to because they've gone through it.
When you do the Turf Bowl events, are the academics around? One of the things I think would have been cool from my perspective is, I wanted to be a golf course superintendent. Ultimately, my career took me in another way, but I would have liked meeting professors from other schools as well, right? Because, of course, we're studying each other's work. We're teaching our students each other's work. Do the students get any opportunity to interact with the faculty advisors beyond just their team advisors?
They do. Well, John Deere sponsors a reception the night before the Turf Bowl where all the teams can come together.
Oh, and eye each other up, right?
Eye each other up, but also
steal their phones.
Yeah. Well,
kick them in the ankles so they can't, do everything they got to do. That's what Penn State's been doing for years.
Well, we try to limit that kind of activity, but.
And just leave the football team to do all the buying of the players and all that baloney, right? You don't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
So great, Dave. It's all right. There's only 5 people watching, and so it is, folks. It's so great. So back to the point about the reception. The reception is a part of it that we haven't talked about yet, but that networking component, right? This is the thing yesterday I had the Quail Institute fellows up here, right? I think you guys are involved in that as well, right?
Correct.
Another investment you're making at Quail Hollow Country Club. The networking that comes from this also makes it a big sell to the students. Now, I didn't ask you this. You got 3 teams of 12 students. Do they have to try out for the team, or is some students just don't want to do it?
Well, at Penn State, I think they have a survivor type of competition to see who can go.
Course.
Yeah, I don't.
Of course.
Well, when you have
with
500 students in your program, I guess you can do that.
Yeah.
But with us, we haven't got to that point yet. I'd like to actually get to that point where, hey, it gets to be a little bit of a competition between the teams. I think our teams do have a little bit of competition going on between them.
Oh,
nice. They're talking between each other right now. They're talking.
They're
between
comparing
each other.
notes right now, for sure.
Okay, so now that it's over.
Yeah, now that it's over.
So the networking possibilities. Tell us about the reception. The teams come together, right? John Deere's there.
Yep, John Deere and the GCSAA
leadership.
welcome everyone. And it really goes back to part of the industry. I mean, you know this as well. Networking is huge in this industry. And so if you look at the overall Turf Bowl experience, they're getting networking, education.
That's right.
It's really a microcosm of life.
Well,
you know,
and
it's
again,
really what their future is going to look like.
They're going to learn how to grow grass. Your guys are going to learn how to grow grass. Ben's guys are going to learn how to grow grass in Pennsylvania. But they're going to get jobs in other places. In fact, we want them to be able to get a job in just about any place in the world, right? So knowing some of these things, not just the information you get from the trade show, you know, the Turf Bowl itself, but meeting these people,
meeting everyone, networking, talking, you know, learning to get outside of your bubble and, and talk to Pat Vidham or talk to David
Pat
or
Vidham's
talk
here?
to so
no way.
You know, walk up and say hello to someone. It's a fantastic experience for the kids.
Okay, well listen, I'm glad I got the chance to cover this with you for this morning. Thank John Deere for 10 years of sponsorship of this. Dave, you get a special handshake for beating Ben and the Penn State guys. I could be stuck sitting here with them next year, so hopefully it goes well for you guys again.
Well, we'll try to spare you that again.
I appreciate that. I'm Frank Rossi. We're on the GCSAA TV live stage here, presented by Lebanon Turf at the Golf Industry Show in San Diego. We'll be right back.